Going to look at the MPC. This is going to be kind of a general topic for all MPCs as far as any of the hardware current MPCs. That includes the MPC 1, the MPC 1 Plus, the MPC Live, Live 2, MPC X, and the MPC Key 37 and Key 61. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about sampling with them. Now I know I've done some previous videos, one of which was how to load a sample onto a pad from a sample that was in your MPC. And one thing I forgot to cover in that video that one of my subscribers pointed out was that how do you get the sample to the MPC? In that case, what you would do is you would connect your MPC to your computer by USB. And when you do, the SD card or the hard drive in the models that have a hard drive would show up as a drive on your PC, which at that time you can drag any samples you want onto the SD card from your PC, or vice versa. You could pull them off there to your PC to use them in a DAW or something else. But today I'm going to show you how to get an actual audio sample into the MPC and how to work with it a little bit. So let's get into it and see what we've got going on. All right, so here we are at the MPC. I'm starting a new project so we can do this fresh. Basically, what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you how to sample a loop, chop up a loop, and save that loop as an instrument. All right, so that you can trigger pieces of it as you go across the pads, like one chunk at a time. All right, and that's basically, it's a very useful method of sampling right here, especially when you're working with pre-recorded loops that you might get off of something like Splice or something you might get off of a Loop Cloud or one of those. In this case, however, to avoid any kind of copyright issues, I am using my Seek track, which I have a loop that I've made on it. Now, right now, you'll notice that if I try and play any of the drums, you're not hearing anything, and that is because we right now don't have monitoring turned on the MPC, and my Seek track is running into the inputs of the MPC, coming out the output right there. So what we're going to do before we get started is I'm going to enable monitoring. This is important for anything you're sampling because you're always going to want to hear what you're sampling, and you're always going to be running it into the MPC, so it's probably going to feed out through the back of it into your speakers or headphones. So first you would tap this little icon right here. It looks like a sideways bar graph, and it's a sequence window here. And you'll see this audio right down the bottom underneath the MIDI stuff. You'll see audio. It says audio 001. First, what you want to do is turn on monitoring there. You'll see that it says monitor right here, and it says off. I'm just going to tap on, and now we can hear the Seek track coming through the MPC, and that is what you want to happen in order to sample it. Let's go over to the main menu, or to the menu. Actually, just press the menu button, not the main menu, because that's going to confuse you, because this is main and that's menu. All right, and once we're here, we want to go to sampler, and sampler is where we do our sampling. Go figure, right? What you want to be sure is that your inputs are set to 1 and 2 if you're plugged into 1 and 2. If you have a different MPC that has more than 2 inputs, be sure that this is set to whatever you're plugged into. I'm recording a stereo sample, and you'll see my threshold right here. This is my threshold meter, or my threshold slider. I have it set pretty low because I want it to, when I start recording, I want it to trigger as soon as it hears a sound. And if you have it set too high, you can either not record anything because it'll be expecting it to be way too loud, or you may have it in a place like if I had it right here, it wouldn't trigger till it heard a clap because the clap is a little higher sound than the kick drum. The kick would be ignored. So I turned it down to about here, and that should do it there. You can also, if we hadn't turned on the monitoring from the way I turned it on a minute ago, you could turn it on right here. This is also monitoring, but I have it turned on in a different place, so we're fine. Oh, so over here we have the time. You'll see this max length. That is the maximum length your sample can be. You can change that number. I have it set for 10 seconds. You can have it set to whatever, or as low as you want also. Usually I try and set it to a place where I feel like I'm not going to waste much RAM capturing air or capturing a repeating loop. So That's fine the way it is right now. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to tap arm, and now the MPC is armed. It is now waiting for a sound to come into it so that it can start recording. So I'm going to hit start right here on the seek track. And you can see this is recording. And that was a full complete loop, so we're done with that. I'm going to stop that. And now I'm going to give this a name. We'll call this ST loop for seek track loop. And I'm just going to hit do it. Now it's got a name, and I want to edit this. So I'm going to hit edit right here. If I wanted to just keep it, I could just save it. I could just do whatever I want at this point. I could just hit save and work on it later. But I'm going to hit edit because we're going to go through the whole process of chopping this up. So first, let's see what this sounds like. I'm going to tap this yellow key right here. Sounds good. Okay, so there's the end. The end is right around here. So if we go over here, it looks like it's like right there. So I'm going to grab this end right here and drag it over to, I kind of lost my place. That's all right. We'll figure it out in a second. I think it's right around here. All right, let's try it. I forgot to turn looping on. Turn looping on right there. Wow, if it were any closer, that's actually it right there. Okay, now I'm going to hit process, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit discard, this option right here. What it does is it will chop the remaining outside of the start and end of the start and end markers on a loop. So boom, doom, done. And now let's zoom out so we see it all. Let's give it a listen. I do realize I'm listening to the same thing over and over, but it's just the way life is as a musician. You find yourself trying to be sure you've got what you needed a lot, I feel like, especially when you're recording anything. All right, so now we've got the sound, so we're on our way. Next thing I would do normally is I'd hit process again, and then I'd drop down this list, and I'm going to go to normalize. And normalize, what that's going to do is it's going to give me a maximum volume version of that loop. That's perfect. Now, where it says trim, we're in trim mode right now. I want to go to chop mode, which is right here. Chop mode lets me just tap trim, it changes to chop mode. Lets me either manually chop this sample, so I can just go over and I can start pressing keys and tell it where I want to chop. So if I just started with the way it looks right now with the yellow, yellow, green, this is saying if I go now, it put a marker at each spot that I tapped one of these keys at. You get the idea. Now that's kind of cool because it was I just did that manually. But if I hit undo and we go back to the original sound here, what we can do is we can let the MPC figure out what's going on here. If I hit threshold and we turn the threshold way up, right now it's set to 50, but we turn it up so the threshold's higher, it will start to look for, as I turn down here, here we are at 68. We've got our first separate selection here. It will find what it thinks are the breakpoints. I'm just going to move this one to the beginning because I don't know why it's way over there. So the threshold didn't do me too good that time. That's all right. So now we know threshold is not really going to be a great option for us. So next we go to, you could try regions. If you know how many beats there are in your loop, you can tell it to be break it into 16 pieces. Right now it's in 16 pieces. So if I go, each of the 16 pieces is playing on a different pad. So I go. That might be a little too short in my opinion, but you know. So I can go over here and change it to maybe, I could try 12. That might be really weird. I'd probably go with 8 because that's just the way life goes in music. And then once you've got what you want, I'm going to go with this one because this seems pretty good. There's also BPM where I can tell it to go by BPM, and it will. All right, so I'll leave it. Actually, I'll leave it like this. This is a pretty fun little chop session here that we've got going on 16. So that's that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next step, which is I'm going to hold down, press Shift, okay, and you'll see now that it says one shot, zero snap, process, convert, clear all, slice minus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit convert. Convert is going to let me save this as an instrument that I can load into any project I want. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to use a new drum program using slices. That's exactly what I want. So I'm just going to hit do it. Bam. And now ST Loop is basically ready to be used in my project. Let's go to the project page. We'll go to main, and I'm going to hit MIDI because we're in audio mode. MIDI will take me to drum kit type setup. You want to be sure you're tapping this little 4 squares here. This is the drum icon. And then we go to program right here, and I'm going to turn this knob till we see ST Loop. And there it is. All right, so now I want to be sure it saves out. So I'm going to hit that little pencil, and I'm going to hit save current program. ST Loop. I'm going to hit save. And now and there you go. All the pieces are across these 16 pads. What you can do from here is, you can do a lot of things from here actually. I could go over to, let's go to menu here. I could go to program edit, and I could make modifications to the different drums by adding envelopes to them, adding modulation, individual effects per drum if I want to. Or I could just go over here to channel mixer, and there's ST Loop, and I could just go and add an effect to everything. If I don't want to individually add effects, I go right here and we can add maybe just a little bit of reverb to it, just to give it a little presence. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully that was helpful to you, and you got something out of it. If you have any questions, hit me up. That's basically the first step in sampling and chopping up your sample on the MPC. So to go beyond loading samples from your hard drive, that's your first step. All right. So let me know what you thought of the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have an awesome night. Take care. Be safe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye for now.